Hello everybody, my name is Albert and today I shall be talking about FOMO in video games. Hope you enjoy. FOMO, for those who don't know, is the fear of missing out. It's that anxious feeling you get when everybody's enjoying something where you're unable to do so at the moment. Now, FOMO in the context of gaming isn't always a bad thing, most of the time. On the positive side, it can motivate players to interact with others, make new mates, and expand their play by participating in events or competitions. However, when FOMO becomes overwhelming, it can lead to negative consequences such as stress, anxiety, and addictive gaming. Gamers will neglect sleep, work, or even social contact just to keep up with the gaming industry. Trust me, I would know. Anyway, it's important to know the difference between healthy motivation and unhealthy pressure in order to have a balanced gaming life. It has evolved to become a powerful force in video games, and if it isn't in your game already, it soon will be. No longer is it a side product of video games, but it is now done by design. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. See how FOMO works, how it's been used, what are its impacts, and see how we can protect ourselves from bad FOMO. How does FOMO work? Well, based on this source, FOMO works by creating an environment in which players feel like they must play the game in order to not lag behind everyone else. This can be either in rewards, experience, social aspects, and everything in between. It is a powerful force as humans are social creatures, and it can be detrimental for our psyche if we believe we will be outclassed or limited if we do not participate. Similarly, in a study, it was shown that brand passion, which is pretty much your enthusiasm for a particular brand, so in this case a video game, when combined with FOMO, can lead to compulsive purchasing. This can be applied very easily to the realm of video games. One way this can be done is through microtransactions, making you spend all your precious money that you might need on food, for a cosmetic, or something along the lines of that. But on a wider scale, it leads to a perceived psychological need to keep up with the trends, which, obviously, can be unhealthy. Another way FOMO can be implemented into video games is through limited time events. When games have limited time events, this can cause a feeling of urgency to players to play the game. So, they must either play the game now, lest they want to never experience that cool thing that everybody else played and are talking about. So, do you really want to be that guy who has no idea what everyone else is talking about? Of course not. So hop on those games, rack up some sweet engagement for the devs, and maybe even waste a few $100s on that sweet limited time event armor set in the shop. The goal, of course, is to make players play the game and potentially purchase microtransactions. So, let's go into some more specific cases to help grasp this devastating aspect of gaming.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
FIFA, the world-class premier football game series that is loved by many and also equally hated by many. FIFA has always been known for making it feel like you are on the pitch, passing the ball to football stars such as Messi or Ronaldo. However, it is also hated for the fact you need to dish out $100 every year just so you don't miss out on that one new feature that's not really new, but it's more important that you can play with your friends. FIFA is a prime example of FOMO. The series had a humble beginning in 1993 and really popped off in 1996 by obtaining the FIFA Pro license, which allowed gamers to play as real football players for the first time. Now obviously, the series was a massive hit, even to this day still selling millions of copies. However, the series has been met with a lot of criticism. Up until 2010s, the series always pushed the boundaries by adding new exciting features to each iteration of the series, which obviously helps keep players engaged with the game and buying it each year. So what does EA do after their successful model of adding new content and features to the game? They stop it. Although each FIFA adds minor updates, a roster update, and every now and then a big new feature, it was never the same as before. Previously, every new entry would have an explosive update that shakes up how players play the game, to a degree. And yet, with this lack of innovation, millions of copies are still sold every year, making EA the big dollars. So, why is this the case? FOMO. FIFA is a social game. You're supposed to play it with your mates. But if you don't have the newest edition while everyone else does, you're stuck on the previous edition, missing out on all the fun. Do you really want to be that guy who is playing alone on FIFA 17 while everyone is playing FIFA 18 with their minimally upgraded graphics? Of course not. EA, shockingly, was able to successfully monetize the social aspect of a game. Absolutely disgusting. By making it so every year players have to upgrade by cashing out $100 or risk missing out, they have essentially discovered an infinite money glitch. Bro, they finally added Star Wars to Fortnite alongside a whole bunch of Star Wars skins in the Battle Pass. Oh sweet, I might buy the Battle Pass later on though. You know, got some exam prep to do. Dude, the Battle Pass ends before your exam starts. You gotta drop everything now and hop on, unless you want to miss out on these sweet, exclusive, and never coming back cosmetics. Damn, alright. I guess I'll hop on now and get it. Guess my exams can wait. This year is a prime example of FOMO. Oh, battle passes. Sweet battle passes. Where do I even start? Engineered specifically to be time limited and after that going away forever, alongside the exclusive items it brings, is a vicious way to keep player retention. Those who sacrifice hours of their lives for those pixels will have bragging rights over others for the rest of their life. Now, obviously, game companies have used microtransactions for a long time, but only recently have they been using battle passes, which, as you can probably guess, has made FOMO a huge problem. With previous iterations of reward systems, such as loot boxes or challenges, items were able to be attained at any point in the game's life as long as you have the cash or time to get it. With battle passes, however, instead of spending your money, well, although you still have to pay a little bit to get access to the battle pass, games now demand you to spend your time to earn these rewards. Many games artificially make this journey longer than it should be, which in turn incentivizes players to just spend money to skip this tedious grind. Now I know the items may not be real, but the psychological effect is very much real. Humans don't like to be in positions where we feel like we're at a disadvantage, even if the disadvantage is something as simple as not looking cool as that other guy in a video game. As such, many people have chosen to drop everything in life to farm out these items. Is this something we want gamers to strive to do in video games? Yeah, no. Oh, Destiny 2. Where do I even start? If you thought FIFA was bad for FOMO, you're in for a surprise. Now, disclaimer, I've put a lot of my time and passion into Destiny 2, 1,182 hours, so prepare for a big rant. So grab a drink, maybe a snack, and buckle in. Destiny 2 first released on the 6th of September 2017, almost 8 years ago, to a very warm welcome from fans both new and old. Now, it wasn't a complete overhaul compared to D1 or Destiny 1 for those who don't know, but it was still as fun to play as ever. The way D2 updates their game, instead of new entries like other series, they update it through expansions, which are large DLCs which may include a new story, planet, raids, dungeons, weapons, and such. Now, like any other DLC, you could play them whenever you would want to, as they were permanent to the game, but obviously you would want to play them ASAP, which is a little bit of FOMO for the player, but anyway. However, this all changed in the second year of D2 with their hit expansion, Forsaken. Just to clarify, Forsaken didn't ruin the game or anything. It brought a new overhaul for the weapon system, subclass system, and more goodies, and overall from what I know, everyone loves Forsaken. The most important part is that this was the beginning of their dreadful seasonal model. Now, for their past expansions, story content and new activities were primarily available through the DLC. With the new seasonal model, however, they locked the new activities and more importantly, the story with another paywall on top of the DLC. Let me break it down for you. So on top of paying $50 for the new DLC, which to be fair was reasonable as it did add a lot of new content, you had to buy a $20 season pass to play the more new and exclusive content. Did I mention there were also 4 seasons a year now? So you practically had to pay $130 a year just to play the most recent and exclusive content. Oh, that reminds me. All that $80 worth of seasonal content would just leave next year, never to be played ever again. Yay! But at least you could still play that year's DLC, right? Right? On November 10th of 2020, 3 years later, Bungie released their next expansion, Beyond Light. However, alongside this update, they also announced probably one of the worst things imaginable, the Destiny Content Vault. Because of technical limitations, they had to resort to the unimaginable, vaulting all the content before Beyond Light, which included all previous expansions and even the original campaign. They did clarify that they would bring back the content at some point once they had fixed it to work in their current engine. It's been 8 years and they're still in the vault, gathering dust and supposedly never coming back. So all that money, quite literally, has gone down the drain, as you couldn't even pay for what you play for. But it's very ironic, as Bungie are literally being sued for copyright infringement for one of their earlier expansions, but they have no proof because the content is unplayable. Bittersweet justice. Nowadays, they don't vault any other expansions, but the seasonal content still goes away at the end of each year. One last thing I thought I should mention before I go completely off topic is that D2 is plagued by limited time events, which usually last 2 weeks and have exclusive loot that most of the time doesn't come back till next year or just goes away completely, practically forcing players to spend endless hours just to make sure they have everything they could ever want. You still there? Good, because we're almost done. So, FOMO is huge in games, but it isn't hugely known to the public for a very good reason. You know those limited time events and exclusive rewards? They make you feel like you have to play or spend money, otherwise you'll miss something important. But here's the thing, it messes with your head. You start worrying about missing out on in-game achievements your friends are completing, or feel like you're left behind that you don't get to play for an extended amount of time. That pressure leads to anxiety and stress and even compulsive gaming, making you stay up late or spend money just to keep up. It can even make you put games ahead of your real life stuff, which obviously isn't great for your mental health. Therefore, this will create an addictive environment to games, which can drag you into a dark hole without realizing it. Bottom line, games should be fun, not stressful. If you ever feel like you're playing just because of FOMO, maybe take a break. Your well-being matters way more than any in-game reward does.
Guys, love yourself. That's all I gotta say. If you look in the mirror and hate yourself, love yourself. Yes, you should love yourself now. Yes, you should.
So, is FOMO really that bad? Well, yes, but actually no. Let me explain. Now, obviously, FOMO is bad in most cases. There really isn't much fun to be gained grinding out a game just because it has a limited time event or everyone else is playing it without you. Games are meant to be played how we want to, whether we spend a lot of time on a game or a little time on a game. There are some cases, surprisingly, where FOMO in gaming can be good rather than evil. Let's take Helldivers 2 as an example. They sparingly use FOMO in their game, and they have battle passes called War Bonds, which have no time limit and can be picked up whenever you want. The only time they use FOMO is in major orders, which is kinda a limited time event in the game. Like the most recent major order was to protect Super Earth from the Illuminate Force, a bunch of sentient squids. Anyway, FOMO used in this way gathers the community together to play for fun instead of playing for the sake of just playing. Now, the game usually stands around 30,000 players online, which is, pretty good, but as soon as this major order was released, it skyrocketed to 100,000 players, and it's still consistent currently. This just shows how FOMO can be used for the forces of good if used sparingly and correctly. So, you're probably asking yourself, but Albert, how can I protect myself from harmful FOMO? Well, I'm glad you asked. D. The solution to protect yourself from FOMO is... drumroll please. Don't play video games. What? You thought I was gonna have good advice on how to avoid FOMO apart from the most obvious way? Well, you're right. In a way, the best way to protect yourself from FOMO is not to do with the game you're playing, but more yourself, specifically your mental health and well-being. At the end of the day, FOMO is all in your head. Well, not literally, but you know what I mean. It may sound hard, but you have to realize that you're not going to be able to experience everything all the time. You know, we're not robots. Unless we are?
No.
Anyway. You just have to accept that it's okay not to experience some things like playing a limited time event or having a cool skin no one else has. We're only human after all. Secondly, FOMO majorly affects those who are very anxious. I know anxiety isn't really something that's easy to get rid of just by clicking your fingers, but you can still mitigate your anxiety by certain activities like practicing mindfulness and meditation, write down your thoughts, and a very good way to reduce anxiety, go outside and touch grass. Well, experience nature. Yippee! So, FOMO is quite complicated. It's sad to say that it's pretty much just become a standard for video games now to include FOMO in some way or another. Whether it be through making the same game over and over again each year, to force players to buy the newest slop edition, the notorious Battle Pass grind, or limited time events for some sweet, sweet loot. It's got its up and downs, mostly downs, mainly downs. Yeah, FOMO can just be the worst, honestly. So yeah, that's FOMO in gaming in a nutshell. Now if you excuse me, I have a limited time event I have to go grind to get done by tomorrow. See ya!
How may I help you? How may I
Oh
help
yes,
you?
I think I'm gonna do y'all general chicken with rice,
Okay.
and I'm gonna get an egg roll with it.
They come with that one. 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 That one.